Next is archival records. Apart from various literary sources discussed above, government documents or archives in the form of royal firmans or decrees issued by the rulers, treaties, and agreement between different kings, chronicles of court and records of revenue also serve as important source of information for these periods. So not only the different types of sources or the different types of you can say monuments or stone or statues, but also there were different you can say different types of royal firmans or records which were given by different rulers, and all the details are mentioned in the archival records. They throw lights on administrative policies and the political system of the kingdom. So, with the help of these archival records, we come to know different types of different policies, how their society was divided, how their political activity took place, just like how if a person had committed any crime, they were punished. What were the different types of punished, and in which category the different types of punished were. You can say mentioned. So everything was written in the archival records. Next is importance of geographical factors. Geography is one of the most significant drivers of history. So geography play an important role in the modeling our history. In the absence of the concept of space, history could rather be incomplete and devoid of its vital substance. So if we don't have enough space and enough area, the history will not be able to, or you can say the people will not be able to survive properly during those periods. So history and geography are interdependent. That is why history is often regarded both as the history of mankind and the history of environment. Keeping this in mind, it is crucial to go back in time in order to understand the geography and environment of the region that have influenced the history of India. So keeping in this mind, we have to look both the aspect, that is geography areas, and also the history perspective, because both history and geography are interlinked. The three major physiographical divisions that have played an important role in the history of the Indian subcontinent are the Himalayan uplands, the Indo-Gangetic plains, and the peninsula. So in our India, the whole Indian continent is divided into three categories. So the first is Himalayan uplands, next is the Indo-Gangetic plains, and the third one is peninsular India. The Himalayan uplands consist of a chain of lofty mountains. So in the Himalayas there are a continuously change of a lofty mountain, that means continue or you can say highest peak of the mountains. Due to weathering and erosion, huge quantities of fertile alluvium are continuously carried down into the plains from these mountains. So especially in the Himalayas, there the soil which are present in the Himalayas, it contains a huge amount of alluvium. So due to the soil erosion and weathering purposes, these soils are moving towards from mountain to plains. The three great perennial river system, that is the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, are fed by the Himalayan snow. So these three important rivers are also originated from the Himalayas. The alluvial plains of northern India appear on the map like a huge arc extending for about 300 kilometer. 3,200 kilometers from the mouth of the Indus to the mouth of the Ganga. So these are the areas to which the whole, you can say, the Gangas are extended. The Harappan and Indus Valley civilization, one of the earliest civilization in the world and the first in the subcontinent, flourished in the plains along the river Indus and its tributaries more than 4 millennia ago. So the Harappan civilization, or also known as the Indus Valley civilization, it is the one of the earliest or the first civilization in the world, and it is the first in the subcontinent, that means in our Indian subcontinent, and it is flourished with the or you can say it is present in nearby the river Ravi and its tributaries for about 4 millennia each, that means very long years. Similarly, the Ganga plains have sustained and nurtured city life, state, society, and imperial rule from the first millennia BCE. We have already read in the previous class about their key role in the making of our ancient history. So all the different types of rivers plays an important role for our making our India more great. The northern plains and peninsular India are separated by a large intermediate zone called the Central India, extending from Gujarat to the western Orissa over a stretch of 1600 kilometers. So the northern plain, that is the northern plain and the peninsula are separated by a, you can say, an area which is known as the central area, and it starts from Gujarat to the west, that is the, for example, this is Gujarat, from the west to the Odisha to the east, and the area is total is about 1600 kilometer. The Aravalli hills in Rajasthan separate the Indus Valley from the peninsula. So the Aravalli range, which is present in Rajasthan, it separates the Indus Valley from the peninsula, that is peninsula means these area. This is the peninsula. The intermediate zone is characterized by the presence of the Vindhya and Satpura range and the Chota Nagpur plateau, covering portion of Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. So there is an intermediate zone which is known as which is present near the Vindhyas and Satpura range, and also near the Chota Nagpur plateau, and it covers the areas, that is Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. These region can be subdivided into four sub-regions, that is the land of the Rajput between the Udaipur and Jaipur. Next is the Malwa plateau around the Ujjain, more popularly known as Avanti in ancient India. Third is Vidarbha, or the sub-region around Nagpur, and the last one is the Chhattisgarh plain in eastern Madhya Pradesh, or Dakshina Koshala. So these are the four subdivision of the you can say of our you can say geographical factors. Despite difficulty in communication and movement across the intermediate zone, contacts between these four apparently isolated pockets and between these region and other physiographic division did not take place. So though there was you can say difficulty in communicating with different region, but still they have find their own way in order to do communicate with each other and do different trade and businesses. On the southern edge of the central India begins the formation called Peninsular India. So this portion is known as, that is South India is known as the Peninsular India. The rocky formation gently slope from west to east, and four major rivers flow from the Bay of Bengal. So the formation of the peninsula is, that is slopey, that is from west to the east, from west to the east. This is the slopey, and there are four major rivers. They are the Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, have produced alluvial plains and helped the creation of nuclear areas in the plains and deltas, enabling cultural growth to be sustained for a prolonged period during history. So with the help of these four rivers, it played an important role, and it produces alluvial plain which help in the creation of different types of nuclear activity which are mostly taken place in the South India. The Narmada and the Tapti, however, have a westward flow and run into the Arabian Sea in the Gujarat after running through the hilly central India. So the Narmada and the Tapti river, they move from west flow, that is move from west flow and and run into the move from west flow and later on, for example, if they are coming from here, they will move from westward and then they will fall in the Arabian Sea. The Deccan Plateau is the well-known feature of the region. It extends from the Vindhyas in the north to the southern limits of the Karnataka. The black soil in Maharashtra and in the adjoining part of the central India is especially rich. So these area, that is the Maharashtra, it is rich in black soil and it plays an important role in the Maharashtra, because these area are rich in the black soil. The soil yields good crops of cotton, millets, peanuts and oilseed. So the soil of Maharashtra is good for cotton, millets, peanuts and oilseed. It was this reason why the earlier farming culture, that is Chalcolithic in western and central India, emerged here. So the you can say the procedure of farming cultures and farming agriculture, it started in the you can say Maharashtra region itself. In the west, the plateau terminates with the western Ghats, and in the east is contours with the marked by the eastern Ghats. So these area is known as the western Ghats till here, and from here till here it is known as the eastern Ghats. The Nilgiris and the Cardamom hills are regarded as offshoot of the basic peninsular formation. So the famous hills are present in the South India are the Nilgiris hills and the Cardamom hills. Like any other country of the world, the course of Indian history has largely been shaped by the geographical features of India. So like other country, our India is also very rich in the you can say geographical feature, and it contains different types of plants, animals, and different types of forests are present in our India. The Ganga Yamuna Doab, the Middle Ganga Valley, Malwa, Northern Deccan, Andhra, Kalinga, coastal Odisha, and the Tamil plains are the major perennial nuclear region which emerged as a basis of power quite early. So these are the areas where the different types of nuclear plants are set up, and it helps in producing different types of electricity. Smaller areas such as the Kankon, Kanara, Chhattisgarh have also made a mark. Some areas such as the Raichur Doab between the Krishna and Tungabhadra, and the Vengi that between the Godavari and Krishna have been continuously contested for their agriculture resource potential. So these are the area where the agricultures are taking place in our India in a more efficient way. At most period of its history, India through a cultural unit was torn by intense war. So with the help of war, many places were destroyed in our history. Famine, flood, plague killed millions of people. So due to famine, that is there is shortage of food in an area, flood, the huge amount of water in that area, and plague means different types of diseases had killed millions of people in the past. Inequality of birth was given religious sanction, and the lot of humble were generally hard. This however was true for any part of the ancient world of the time. Judge in the course of time the relation among the people or between the people and the state were fair enough and humane. So their social structure were very good. People used to respect each other, but there was a caste system during those times. That means the upper caste used to treat in a very bad way to the lower section of the society. Unlike Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Greece, however, the traditions of India have been preserved without a break to the present day. So, not only in India, but foreign countries also have a great trade system with India, and their traditions and cultures were also come along with them, and it mingles in our Indian society. To this day, legends known to be the humblest Indian recall the names of shadowy chiefmen who lived nearly thousands of years ago before Christ, and the Orthodox Hindus in their daily worship repeats hymns composed even earlier. So before Jesus was Christ, there was different types of Hindu system present in our India, and different types of hymns, mantras were written, and different types of rules and regulations were set, which were to be followed by Hindu people. India and China have in fact the oldest continuous cultural tradition in the world. So in fact we can say that the two countries, that is India and China, it have the oldest continuous culture tradition which is followed in the world, and till now we are continuing this culture, and it is keep going on and on. So hence we can say that medieval period of Indian history is very important for our to modify or to learn more about our history or our past.